Hi, I'm Susie Peacock. I work at QAA Scotland and I'm a quality enhancement specialist. Today I'm in conversation with Joe Wilson. And Joe, I really can't thank you enough. You've got so much experience and so much to bring to us. So could I just ask you, what is your current role at City of Glasgow College? What are you doing?
Okay, so and nice to speak to you, Susie, too. At the moment, I'm head of digital skills, and what that means is that I look after the college learning technology, and I push out models for blended learning. My biggest task in the last 2 years has been taking the college from a self-hosted Moodle onto Canvas by Instructure. Uh, and I think the other thing I want to say at this juncture is we do everything in the open. So that most of this is reflected in the Learning and Teaching Academy website, and I hope I can share that link along with wherever this recording's positioned. And that website supports staff and students with lots of support materials and things.
Wow. I mean, digital skills is something we're all talking about, and digital literacies. What drew you to that?
I think I've always worked in this space. You know, it's key. I mean, without revealing too much of my history, I've worked for lots of agencies across Scotland, as well as just having a constant focus on learning technology and digital skills. It's now. 20 years ago, it was probably too far in the future. Now I think everybody realizes that having a digital skill set is key, both for teachers and for learners, you know.
So, what's some of the recent work that you've been doing in this area?
Well, I think again, just with feet firmly on the ground, it's simply encouraging staff to use the full range of tools available to them and to use them appropriately. And you would think that that was easy, but that's been the long struggle. It's not that we haven't got the technology; it's letting teaching staff and learners see what we've got and encouraging them to use it appropriately. And what we use is we use the JISC feedback, so we use the JISC surveys for staff and for students. We use the feedback we get from these surveys to shape our offer so that we're giving them the support where they need it. And what we've discovered isn't really rocket science, that learners want a more standard blended learning experience, particularly post-pandemic. Learners really understand now what can be achieved through digital learning, and they want a standard blended learning experience. And staff really just want more training and support. And the challenge in the system is they want more training and support, but they want time to take part in it. And that's something that I've never been able to give them, that we really do expect staff to pick up training and support in the development time that they've got within their contracts currently. But that's always a bit contentious.
It's always been a critical but difficult area. Because I think we both know it's staff development, spending time with academics, getting them comfortable, and then they feel, oh, I'm not going into a class and I don't know how I'm using this technology, but I can actually use it for its best and to really enhance the learning environment for our students. So tell me, how does City of Glasgow College approach blended learning?
Well, again, I'm hoping I can share a link alongside this recording. What we've done is we work with a model based on UCL's ABC model, and at City of Glasgow College, what we've done is we've taken that ABC learning design model and we've made it our own. So we've taken it and we've repositioned it so it's relevant for a large further education college. So in a way, it was tweaking some of the more academic language that was in the UCL model. And what we call the ABC model at City of Glasgow College is we call it the active, blended and connected model. And again, there'll be a link you'll be able to follow and you can see all the work we've done. And there's templates to help curriculum teams redesign their online offer and all of these things, all sitting there and all open and free. But boring but necessary things. What we've also done is we did an awful lot of work on consulting with students and with staff around having a Canvas template. So creating it, promoting it, tweaking it again this year so that it reflected what students and what staff expect in a template. And it's not asking everybody to do the same things in exactly the same way, but there's boring but necessary things about a Canvas course, or again any blended course. And it's just these kind of things of having a template that tells students what the course is about sensibly. It means that the learning materials are in the modules in Canvas are in a sensible order so that people can follow it. There's an introduction to who the teacher is. There's maybe a picture or even a video or something saying, I'm your teacher. And also there's information about how to contact them. So a lot of these things aren't really rocket science. Now, along with that, with staff, we've been working hard so that along with the course materials, we've been encouraging more use of quizzes and different forms of assessment, and more use of pre-recorded video, short clips about 8 minutes long. So we don't go down in college space. We're not going down the lecture capture, that lecture's captured direction, because without being contentious, like lectures, hour-long talks don't work. And again, we get a lot of feedback from students saying, please tell the teachers that talking to a PowerPoint isn't blended learning. They would rather just have the PowerPoint and have some quizzes and questions, and then use the online time to have a dialogue. And post-pandemic at City of
Fascinating.
Glasgow College, post-pandemic, most courses are now delivered in a mixed mode, so some on site and some online. We do have some rooms set up for hybrid teaching, but in the main, staff simply can't cope with this. It's just too difficult to give face-to-face and online learners a positive experience synchronously at the same time. So we've got these spaces, but I wouldn't say we're really using them, but mainly because it's just too hard for teaching staff. So that kind of gives you a round picture of where we are with blended learning.
It's fascinating what the feedback you're getting from learners. And the things they're asking for are quite straightforward. They're quite simple. They're not asking for us to do virtual reality or anything like that. They're asking for the virtual learning environment to be very accessible. Everything basically the same, but we all know people like to tweak it a bit. And things you're talking about, like a hello from the educator, I mean, it it's something that we would always do. It's something that we want to make sure that our students know us and they know our interests, they know the research we're doing. As you say, it's not rocket science.
It's not it's that human bit, so the blended or online or distance or any of these things, what you need to do, even in a classroom face to face, is close that gap, get to know your students as people, and let them know you as a person as well.
Yes.
Which again can be challenging. Some of our colleagues sometimes are so focused on on their subject, they forget they forget to be human, which seems weird, but and I'm not being critical of anyone, but that's the bit. It's reminding people that learning is about human human communication and all of these things.
I mean, and you know, Joe, I'm very keen on the social element of learning and teaching, because I think if we can relate to people, then we've got to start there. They know that we're concerned for them. We build that sense of belonging, which helps all of our learners wherever they are. Can I just go back to hybrid? Because you know I have a particular interest in that. And in an earlier video with Simon Thompson, he said he just didn't know if hybrid was going to work. They've got some rooms set up at Manchester and they're going to give it a try, but they
Well,
just don't know. And that constant theme of staff being able to cope. A member of staff said to me, he said, I feel like I'm flying a jumbo jet because I've got to cope with the students who are with me, but I mustn't forget the learners who are in the online environment. And then I've got to think about the technology, and then I think about what I'm doing. And he just said, it's just overload for me, Susie. I just can't get this.
I think that's a perfect analogy. I mean, again, the analogy I might use is like being a circus performer, and we're going to train you to ride two white horses round a circus ring. The amount of coordination that you have to do in order to ride these two horses and to give the audience, because you get the audience as well, that perfect experience is just really hard. And again, I don't think the hybrid thing's a criticism of blended. I think blended learning works really well, so that you could asynchronously give online learners a good experience, or synchronously give online learners a good experience. But trying to do face to face with online learners, I think is just really challenging. It's not undoable, but any time we've tried it, and we've got rooms set up. Either the people who are in the classroom think that they're getting an artificial experience, or the people online feel as though there's certain parts of the lesson where they're being ignored, even though we've got all the whistles and bells, and we're using Teams, so that again, there's the virtual group work. All of these things can happen. It's hard for both sets of students, and it's really challenging
Yeah,
for the lecturer who's
yeah,
facilitating that.
yeah,
It might work. Again, it's just how you resource it. We're trying to do all of this with one teacher in the classroom with that kit. It might be that if you resourced it in a different way, and you perhaps had two lecturers available, two teachers available, that might help. But it's just probably a bridge too far just now. And it might actually not be that desirable. It might just be we need to rethink the whole hybrid approach, which at the moment hybrid means trying to deal with face to face and online learners synchronously. Uh,
yeah. No, I mean, Joe, I've spoken to some students who absolutely hate it. And I've spoken to some learners who love it, and they accept it won't be as good as being face to face in the classroom. But the alternative is to spend hours driving,
yeah,
or
yeah. I think absolutely,
coping, with the
and
cost of traveling. And they have just said, well, or they've got caring responsibilities. So they've just said, well, this is the best that we can do. And it means I can address whatever issue. So I accept it's
yeah,
not going to be quite as good.
I think absolutely. I think as long as the online learners in that hybrid situation do understand that it's caveated in that way, that probably they would get a better experience if either they were on site or they were wholly online. Uh, but that basically hybrid is got to be caveated by that. But they might not get as good an experience as we'd like to give them. But it's because they've made a decision. They for that day, and it might be COVID, it might be something else, some other reason that they can't come onto site. Uh, then
Yeah,
hybrid,
yeah.
would
No,
work
I
for
agree.
them, but
I
it's not
remember
ideal.
teaching a class when I had some students in the Falkland Islands, and they obviously couldn't come. So we said, right, the techies a bit, well, it wasn't particularly robust, but they had opportunities to speak to students out with the synchronous session.
Yeah.
And they just said, it's great. I'm so happy that, we can do this. Anyway, it's just my last question is, so what are you hoping for in the future?
Well, the first thing to say is my hopes haven't really changed since the late 1990s, when as a lecturer, all my materials were on the internet and available to all my students, and also they were available for any colleagues that wanted to augment these or adopt them. Uh, I think we've still got a long way to go before staff and students are confident enough,
Yeah,
open practitioners and collaborators around learning and assessment. I still think we've got a way to go, and that's regardless of the technology. That bit about being open, an open practitioner, and sharing your learning materials and having negotiated assessments and doing that with your students, I think will come. but I think we're still a wee bit away from that. And along with that, I think we can see things like AI, artificial intelligence,
Yeah.
arriving. Now, again, my link will give you we've got a policy in place, but the next big thing is really training AI on our own data sets. So there's lots of places where this college should have a data set that's opened up to AI, so that a lot of the FAQs about the college or about your subject or about all of these kind of things should all be, I'll use AIable. So I can, and I can see a role too. There's some interesting tools appearing in the further education area. There's an English development called Teachermatic. So I can see a role too for more intermediate tools like Teachermatic that are already set up with queries and things. So you can feed curriculum and various other things into Teachermatic, and it will go away and it'll create rubrics and it'll create multiple choice questions. It'll do a whole lot of really interesting things. They'll make teachers' jobs easier. Uh, and I suppose
And
not just
it just, excuse me, it's just going to give us time to actually think about what we're doing with our learners. Instead of spending time thinking about how do we do this, it's about how do we build those relationships with our learners and nourish those relationships.
Absolutely. I mean, with
Oh,
with AI, again, if I was still in the classroom, I would be sitting with my students, showing them all the AI tools and getting
yeah,
them to see getting
yeah.
them to see that they could use the AI tool just like they would use a lecturer. With that caveat that AI is selecting from a fixed data set and it's not always right. So I mean, even getting them to write AI essays or do various other things and then get them to critique it and find out, or get AI to find references and get them again to go and make sure the references are real. All these kind of things. There's fantastic opportunities around AI that push forward,
I agree.
accelerate the learning process.
I agree. We've got to get out there. We've got to explore it with our learners and be honest that we are exploring it at the moment and we're needing feedback from them. Joe, you and I could probably talk for at least another hour, but I'm going to have to close this conversation. It's always wonderful to talk to you, and thank you very, very much indeed.